Did you know that you can practice your free motion quilting without even taking one stitch? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how to do that in today's video. Hi, I'm Kim Jamison Hurst of Chatterbox Quilts. And most of the time, we tell you you need to practice your free motion quilting by actually quilting, but that's not necessarily always true. Yes, you do need to do that eventually because you want to check your thread tension and just get warmed up, but you can practice your free motion quilting without even being at your sewing machine. So I'm going to show you several different ways you can do that. The first way you can do that is by practicing your design on a whiteboard like this one. So let's say we want to do loops. So we can just take our whiteboard. As a matter of fact, I'm going to change this around this way so you'll be able to see more of this. There we go. And you can just practice your loops here. You can just draw all over the whiteboard. Lots of space to draw. And, you know, if you make a mistake or you don't like the result, well, it's pretty easy to just erase it, okay? So when you're done your practicing, you can just erase and you can start all over again. Now, unfortunately, this method doesn't allow you to keep your design, but it's a great way to practice. And as I said, you can just erase and go over and over and over, okay? Like doodling when you're a kid, right? So that's one method you can do to practice your free motion quilting. There's another way you can practice your free motion quilting. I have a lot of different videos of free motion quilting motifs, and with each of those videos you'll find practice sheets that you can download to practice on. So what you could do is print out the sheet, put it in a plastic page protector, and then you can use like a whiteboard marker, or this particular one are some non-permanent markers that I have, and you can just trace over that design. Again, you don't have to be perfect on the design. The idea when you're doing this kind of practicing is to get the muscle memory into your hands, arms, and, well, not exactly into your head, but get that design idea into your head. Okay, so it's that motion that you get familiar with by doing this type of practicing. Again, when I'm done practicing this, I can just erase it with some damp piece of paper towel, or baby wipes will work as well in this particular case. You just take them off that page protector and then you can start all over again. Here's another method you can practice your free motion quilting, and this one also allows you to try out different designs on your actual project. So I have a quilt top here, and here's one of the blocks in it, and I've got this piece of plexiglass, this acrylic piece here, that I'm going to actually draw on with my whiteboard markers. Now, a couple of things before you do this, because this is a real quilt that I've got on top of, and you definitely don't want to get this marker on the quilt. So you'll notice that I put masking tape around the edges here, and I also have a little piece of masking tape that says top up. So when I put this down, I'm always putting it down with this top up. And the reason I do that is I'm going to erase these marks, but there might be still some of that material on here, and I wouldn't want to flip it over and maybe get some marks on my quilt. So I'm just going to put this down on here, and again, I can figure out what I want to do and practice that design on my quilt. So, you know, I may go like this and say, do I like that? Do I want to, you know, do something like this here and then do something like this on this side, so I can actually see what it looks like on my real quilt. So it allows me to audition different designs, but I can also use it just to practice those designs once I've chosen the one I want to use on my quilt. Another method is to draw out your designs with pencil in a sketchbook. So I have this big sketchbook here. You can actually take the pages out if you want. They're perforated here if you wanted to take them out, but I prefer to keep them in the sketchbook. Now, using the sketchbook allows me to keep these designs, okay? So this is for practicing. It's also for doodling and just coming up with some new ideas. And I especially like using a sketchbook when I'm working with ruler designs. Now, I have a whole video on how to do that in depth, so check the description below to see how to do that. But just quickly, I wanted to show you how this works. I have already traced a few of these designs here, as you can see, and so I would just continue on tracing these using the stitching line disc, so I know that my design is going to look absolutely like this, hopefully, when I stitch it out. So using the sketchbook for ruler work, I really like that for creating my designs before I commit them to my actual quilt. Another way to practice your designs involves some technology, and this is something I've recently discovered. So if you have an iPad Pro and an Apple Pencil, you can use a drawing app called Procreate to try out your quilt designs and to practice your different quilting motifs. So what I like to do is to import a photo of my quilt block that I'm working on, if this is one way I can do it anyway. So I've imported a block here that I want to play around with. I always make sure that it's got a second layer set up that I can draw on. So I'm not touching the original photo, it's under layer number 1. And then what I'm doing is I've already selected my pencil. I'm using red so you can see what it looks like. And then I can just play around and see what designs I would like to have on this particular block. Okay, so maybe I like that. Maybe that looks cool. So maybe I want to try a different design on this side to see which one I like the best. Okay, or maybe I would like some loops. This quilt block is actually already quilted. You can see it a little bit, but I can still play with it. If I don't like the designs, I can undo them and start again. Okay, the nice thing about working with Procreate is it'll automatically save these images after I've finished working with them. So I can go back and look at them again and see which ones I thought looked the best. Or like I was just doing here, I can just erase and keep playing. But when I finally decided, I can keep it and it'll be in my gallery. Now, another thing you can do with this software is, and you can see I've got some things already in my gallery there, I can actually start with a new canvas, and I usually pick 8.5 by 11 because that's kind of the regular paper size. And so I can have a blank canvas where I can just play and create new designs. So for example, let's say I start with a swirl and I'm going to make it look more like a flower kind of shape. And then maybe I want to do some little loopy things around the outside. Oh, maybe I don't like that at all. And I can just start from scratch. So you can also start with just a blank canvas and work on actually creating designs. And then again, once you like them, you can use them and practice with them. And how do you do that? Well, with this particular software, this particular app, you can actually export your designs. You could actually print out your design that you created, and then you could put it in the page protector and then practice over top of it. So those are just some of the ways that you can practice your free motion quilting designs or even try out new designs without even having to stitch one single stitch. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up and share it with your quilting friends. And remember to subscribe and hit the bell so you'll be notified the next time I release a new video. And before you go, check out these other videos that I've included just for you. For more helpful quilting information, go to my website, www.chatterboxquilts.com.